Hey guys, it's Ryan, otherwise known as Lady Maga USA, and I just got back from kayaking on Utah Lake here in Utah, and I was determined to go for a long time, and I went a long time in one direction. And then when I turned around, I thought I was going back to where I started, and the current and the wind took me way further than I thought. So long story short, I am desperately in need of electrolytes and I am exhausted from kayaking. But I just saw some things on my Facebook and in the news, and it means I need to talk. So my Hawaiian shorts don't really go with my Antelope Island sweatshirt and my hat. But let me tell you what I'm going to talk about in this live video and why I want you to share it. We're going to talk about Mormon leftists, okay? I moved from Boston to Salt Lake City, or Utah, to be surrounded by fellow Mormons because I'm familiar with their culture. They're conservatives, their yards are clean, they're good people, they do a lot of good in the world, and I love the Mormons, but the leadership of the Mormon church is currently betraying us. So I'm going to talk about that. Next, I'm going to talk about actually way more important than the Mormon church, but the Mormon church is tied to this topic. Afghanistan refugees and what you don't know about Islamist immigration. And we're going to talk about it, okay? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm up to currently, just so you know I'm not wasting your time following me. And then I'm going to defend Lady Maga from the people who say that I should just go forward as Ryan and get rid of Lady Maga. And I'll defend myself. And then we'll talk a little bit about the jab. So let's start with the Mormon leftists. So in the Mormon church, there's a program called seminary. And when I was a teenager, you had to go to seminary at 6:30 in the morning before high school started. So every day you get that religious training, you study the Bible, study the Book of Mormon, all of that stuff. Well, here in Utah, in Layton, Utah, a viral image is going around where the seminary teacher, mind you, a Mormon Christian seminary teacher, posted that LGBTQIA students are here, and if you're here, you are welcome. Of course, we love the gay kids. Like, go for it. It's fine. We have to have those conversations, and I would love to see the Mormon church be a little more accepting of gay people like me. But what did they share in their religious training for teenage children? It said LGBTQIA+. This is where we draw the line. This is why hundreds of thousands of common sense gay people like myself have walked away from the Rainbow Gestapo, the Rainbow Plantation. So the flag that they shared is not the rainbow flag. It's the new one with a black and brown stripe added to the rainbow flag and a Black Lives Matter triangle with the trans colors in it. So is the modern LGBTQIA++ movement about gays and lesbians and some bisexuals and transgender people? No, it's about brainwashing children because the Q in LGBTQIA means nothing. It means queer or questioning. I have a Mormon niece and she was like, well, I'm queer. I'm different. I'm not like everybody else, so I'm LGBTQIA. And I was like, exactly. That is exactly their agenda. It is to expand the labels and the acronyms and the alphabet to include everyone. Why? Because when they convince regular kids who might just be a little different, who might just be goth, who might have a nose piercing, whatever, they're convincing those kids that you are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. So what does plus mean? It means they are predatorily going after young kids who feel different, or young kids who may have had a crush on their best friend and been a little confused. It is predatory, it is nonsense. And for the Mormon church to proclaim, oh, all LGBTQIA plus kids are welcome in our seminary with the Black Lives Matter triangle and the trans triangle is ridiculous. Now, do I want the Mormons to be welcoming to gay and lesbian kids? Of course we do. But I actually have a cousin who is a director of the youth program in his Mormon church, and he said that half of his kids in his program identify as LGBTQIA+. So let me break it down for you, and this is why I want you to share this damn video, because nobody knows this stuff. So there's the Human Rights Campaign, okay? There's GLAAD. There are pride centers across the country, and they woke up and they realized, wait a minute, gay people are living their lives. They own businesses, they're getting married, they're doing whatever's great for them. Lesbian people, great. They realized the victim narrative no longer applied to white, gay men and lesbians. So they said, oh no, we need funding. And the Human Rights Campaign and GLAAD and the Pride Centers, these are multi-million dollar organizations. And the only way they can continue getting their funding to pay their top executives, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, is to perpetuate the victim narrative. So they sat around a table and they said, how can we perpetuate this narrative, and how can we recruit more people into the LGBT community? Well, let's add Q. Q means questioning. Q means queer. The definition of the word queer is strange or different. So any kid who is different, who wants to wear all black or wants to shave their head or whatever, they are now part of the so-called LGBT community. So their agenda is to manipulate, brainwash, and expand their victim culture and their victim narrative and their victim funding to everybody. Literally, you guys, I'm so over it. So let's talk a little bit about the Mormon Church. This breaks my heart, because I was a Mormon missionary, like the most devout ever. I went to my mission in France. I spoke French. I was dedicated to the cause, and I'm very proud of my pioneer heritage. I love the Mormon story. They fought the government. They crossed the plains. They are amazing people. But today's Mormon church is 100% going leftist, and it makes me sick. And you know who else it makes sick? My Mormon friends. Okay, that's Lady MAGA USA, surrounded by literally a bunch of Mormons. Okay, love them to death. I have nothing against the Mormons. I love them. I don't care if I can't go to your church because I'm gay. Guess what? America, free speech. I tolerate their beliefs. They tolerate my beliefs. And that is the definition of tolerance. And isn't it funny how conservative Mormons, right here, with Lady MAGA USA, are 100 times more tolerant and more loving and more diverse and inclusive than the radical LGBTQIA++ Rainbow Plantation, Rainbow Gestapo, who excommunicated me and sends me death threats. Okay, also, let's just talk about Eric Mutzos for a minute. Okay, this guy is like a super Mormon. Okay, he's online all the time talking about the church, talking about God, talking about Jesus. And he and I are literally like best friends. Like, he's one of my closest friends. I know he would be there for me, and he's there anytime I need him. And of course, I'm there for him. But just look at this picture, okay? We're standing up against forced commie jabs together. I spoke at his rally. He's a Mormon. So these are not the Mormons that I'm talking about. The people who you saw in this picture are currently heartbroken and disturbed over what is happening with the leadership in the Mormon church. Now, to clarify really quick, there's a difference between prophecy. Okay, the Mormons believe they have a living prophet who is the equivalent of Moses. Okay, awesome. but there are administrative decisions made by the Mormon Church that do not align with the fundamental principles of liberty and freedom and even the Mormon history. So what happened? The leadership has come out and said, wear a mask, get the commie jab. They tell children, you're brave and courageous if you wear a mask and get the commie jab. And the Mormons I know are saying, hail to the no, our faith is in Jesus Christ. Our faith is in the eternal principles of liberty and freedom and individual choice and bodily autonomy. I was going to talk about the jab at the end of this, but let me just say, the best tweet that I have seen on Twitter about the jab is that it is a form of rape. Anytime anybody enters your body with a probe, whether it's regular rape, whether it's anything going into your body against your will, even if you're doing it so you can keep your job, even if you're doing it because you want to show the community that you're safe, even if you're doing it because the Mormon Church is forcing Mormon missionaries to get the jab, it is a form of rape. It is medical and physical rape for anyone to insert a needle in your body when you don't want it in there. And we all know that a lot of rape in the United States takes place because of psychological damage. You know, people are broken down, they're manipulated, they say we won't pay your rent, like prostitutes. You know, your pimp says, if you don't sleep with this guy, if you don't do what I say you do, I'm going to take away your money. I'm going to take away your opportunities. So what's the difference between that kind of rape and a jab in your arm? And I'm saying jab instead of the V word because, of course, my time is limited on social media. We all know that. Anyone who is a freedom fighter, anyone who is outspoken is going to be cut off very soon. So if you want to stay in touch with me, email me admin, ADMIN, at ladymagausa.com, subject add me. And once I find some help, I'm going to respond to all those emails, and then we'll have our emails at least once I'm kicked off of these socialist, communist platforms like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. But for now, I'm going to use these platforms. That's why I decided to go online and do a live, even though I'm exhausted. Okay, so we talked about the Mormons. We talked about the fact that they are welcoming LGBTQIA++ students with their Black Lives Matter rainbow flag. P.S. The rainbow flag represents everybody, right? Colors, rainbow, we love everybody. But no, the entire gay movement has been completely overtaken by radical leftist activists who tie it into Black Lives Matter, who tie it into socialism, who tie it into this nonsensical, absolutely atrocious ideology and linking it to gay people. Well, I'm gay. I don't really care that I'm gay. I'm not proud of it. It just is what it is. But at the end of the day, they have completely overtaken my so-called narrative, and I want nothing to do with it. So, now let's move on to Afghanistan refugees. Let me just say that our Republican, Mormon, conservative governor has publicly tweeted to Joe Biden that we want Afghanistan refugees to be resettled right here in Utah, which up until now was a conservative, red, safe, beautiful, utopian state. Like, the streets are clean, there's no crime. You know the Mormons, everybody. So what are the consequences of Islamist immigration? Let's talk a little bit about the principle of taqiyya. If none of you have heard of taqiyya, I implore you, I literally beg you to listen to my latest podcast. Go to ladymagausa.com podcast and listen to my latest episode. The principle of taqiyya is all about fooling the infidel, which means our Republican governor, which means good-hearted Mormons in Utah who say, of course we should accept refugees. Well, when you accept those refugees, who's going to pay for their cell phone? Who's going to pay for their Wi-Fi? Who's going to pay for their housing? Who's going to pay for their education? Who's going to pay for their transportation? You, the taxpayer. And I recently had a little bit of a conflict with a Mormon conservative friend of mine who said we have to defend human rights. And when you vote for your representatives, whether it's the governor or whoever, that means you're giving consent to Islamist refugees coming to your state so we can protect human rights. No, it doesn't. When I vote for my governor and I vote for my mayor and I vote for my legislators, the topic of Islamist immigration in Utah is not brought up. So really, I'm going to leave it to 15 people who represent the state of Utah to make the decision for me, the taxpayer. By the way, I'm scrubbing toilets right now. Y'all know I was fired from Delta. I'm literally scrubbing toilets to make ends meet. So I am responsible for Afghanistan refugees. Let's talk a little bit about vetting, okay? Are they vetting the Islamist refugees coming into the United States? Well, clearly they're not, because they preach helping women and children, but the vast majority of Islamic immigrants are adult men. And let's just step back and ask what these people believe. A lot of people argue, oh, they fought with the American soldiers. They fought side by side. Okay, number one, they were not fighting for the U.S. Constitution. They were not fighting for the American people. They were not fighting for the American way of life. They were fighting for their Islamist way of life in Afghanistan, which differs from the Taliban. Did they believe women should wear a bikini and go to the beach? Did they believe gays should live their life? Did they believe in my right to be gay and a drag queen? Of course not. So ideology matters. So let's just go, like the airport in Afghanistan right now, right? Like I'm not reading your comments. I'm so sorry. I will read them later. Like the airport in Afghanistan right now. There are like thousands of people cramming the airport trying to get to the United States because bleeding heart liberals like our Republican governor here in Utah are begging for them to be sent here. One, he gets a kickback. Two, he's part of the globalist agenda to destabilize the American white Christian family. Like that's what it's about. So the question is, as people in hordes are going toward those planes, you don't think there are Taliban defectors in that group who say we could even do more good and more damage in the United States? Of course they are infiltrating. Most people haven't even read the articles about the blank American visas that can be filled out. I'm a refugee. I need to get out of here. You think the Taliban is not infiltrating these refugees? If you think that, you are literally tarded. Okay, I won't say the word because we can't say that word, but you are a tard. Anyway, so all you have to do is look at Sweden, which is now the rape capital of Europe. Okay, Sweden. Think of Sweden. Like blonde braids and like eating fish and cozy winter Christmases. Sweden used to be a beacon of excellence and ABBA and pop music and all of that. Now it is literally ruined. It is literally the rape capital of Europe. And there is one reason for that. And I don't even have to tell you the reason. And journalists are not allowed to give the name of rapists and people who assault women. Why? Because it will create Islamophobia. I wonder what the names that they can't say are. Perhaps Mohammed? And that's probably going to get me kicked off of this platform, so share this video while you can. In France, between 2015 and 2016, over 200 people were murdered by Islamist extremist terrorists. Okay, in Paris they had the shootings, and then in Bayonne or wherever it was on the ocean, They had the truck driven into the crowd, killing, I believe it was 86 people. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the school teacher who was beheaded in Paris. You haven't even heard of this. You haven't even considered everything I'm going to tell you in my podcast. LadyMagaUSA.com podcast. Listen to the podcast and share it, because even mainstream conservatives refuse to talk about this because they are afraid of critiquing the great religion of peace because they know they will be beheaded or bombed. My ultimate example is the Book of Mormon musical, a very famous musical that is, on Broadway. Everybody loves it. Imagine, and in that musical, they are vulgar, they are filthy, they make a mockery of the Mormons. Imagine for 1 second that somebody did the Book of Quran musical, insulting the great religion of peace. We know what would happen. We know what would happen immediately. And that is how there is a silencing effect on even conservatives who refuse to talk about this. But I'm not afraid. And you know what? If I get kicked off of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, I will still find a way to stand up for truth to my death. And at this point, with Australia and the way we're going in the United States, people like me are going to be targeted. Those of us who have actually said something, who actually posted on social media, who actually go to rallies instead of sitting at home and letting people like Lady Maga USA do the work for you, we're going to be targeted. But if every silent conservative actually did something, actually said something, then we would be the majority, because we are the silent majority. And y'all, you know why we're losing? You know why Afghanistan refugees are going to be sent en masse to Utah and Texas? Because the majority of conservatives have never said a damn thing publicly. They've never sent an email. They've never gone to a rally. And yes, I'm calling you out, and I'm encouraging you to join the Patriots. So those are the realities of Afghan refugees. Once again, LadyMagaUSA.com. My latest podcast. Share it. Please, seriously, share it. I am your voice. I know you're scared to speak out. Share my podcast. Just say, and you don't even have to be a right-wing extremist. You can just say, oh, this is an interesting podcast. Share it. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to defend Lady Maga USA. So in my inbox and with certain conservatives, they say, you should no longer do Lady Maga USA. You should just go forward as Ryan, as the man that you are, and stop dressing up, because that alienates people, and you'll be more effective if you just go forward as Ryan. Okay, number one, I grew up Mormon. I hid myself my entire life as a Mormon. I came out of the closet as gay, and I tried to be the perfect, straight-acting, married, cookie-cutter gay, to please the Mormons, to please my family. Didn't work out. I'm divorced. Then I became a drag artist, and I hid my political beliefs. I hid who I was with the mainstream drag community, as they were preaching Black Lives Matter and leftist ideology, anti-capitalism, anti-Trump at every show. And I stayed silent because I wanted to perform. I wanted to be Britney. I wanted to be Rapunzel. But I stayed silent. And then I came out as Lady Maga USA. And I just have to say this to everybody, because I get a lot of people who say, you would be so much more effective politically if you didn't dress up and you just got rid of Lady Maga and just go forward as Ryan, a regular tie-wearing white guy standing for the principles of freedom. And I get alienated on all sides. Conservatives, they won't cover me. Leftists, they won't cover me because I defy their narrative. But I just refuse. I love drag. I love makeup. I love wigs. I love costumes and choreography. And I refuse to ever stop doing what I love to do and hide my passions and what I love to do in order to please evangelical people who tell me I'm going to hell, or leftists who hate me because I'm a drag queen, or middle of the road conservatives who say, oh, you dress up, that's a little too far. We can't associate with you. Bye. I don't care. I love drag. I love wigs. I love the artistry of makeup and costumes. There's nothing wrong with it. If I went to libraries and taught children to twerk, if I pushed transgenderism on children, if I had an agenda behind what I love to do, it would be a big deal. But if you've ever seen the film Some Like It Hot, you know why I love drag. Because it's funny, it's fun, it's hilarious, and I'm not going to stop doing Lady Maga, okay? I will die on the altar of medical freedom for the jab. I will die on the altar of free speech, which defends even people who hate me. And I will die on the altar of Lady Maga. Nobody's going to silence me, okay? I'm just going to do what I love to do. And for anybody watching this, if you love Lady Maga, you love the makeup, you love the fun, you love the persona, please comment on my stuff. Please share it, because the haters are... it's annoying. I'm sick of their voices in my ear. Do you guys remember the Britney Spears song Overprotected? I tell them what I like, what I want, and what I don't. But every time I do, I stand corrected. That's how I feel. Like I'm Britney in 2001, telling people, no, I'm not going to be overprotected. I'm not going to cater to the haters. Ooh, that's a good catchphrase. I'm not going to cater to the haters. Literally, like I'm angry. That's why I did this live, even though I'm exhausted. And then at the end of the day, I wanted to talk about the jab. I told you it's a form of rape. It is medical rape. It is a violation of your bodily autonomy. It is a violation of everything, especially if you've had COVID, especially if you are a healthy person like me who kayaks and works out and takes vitamins and gets enough sleep. I don't need it. So, end of story. Last but not least, if you appreciate what I do, y'all know I was fired from Delta Airlines. And to make ends meet right now, my family is helping me. One family member is helping me because the rest of them say I'm an internalized homophobe. It's ridiculous. Like, I've lost a lot of family relationships because I'm Lady Maga and because I stand up for truth and I'm not a sheep. And it's funny how they rejected me after I became empowered. And that's like the price you pay. When you become an empowered person with a strong voice and you're no longer a victim and you're no longer like their sad gay family member, they reject you. So anyway, bye. But I am surviving right now because of one family member who's helping me out, and I am scrubbing toilets, okay? Y'all know that. I'm scrubbing toilets, I'm scrubbing kitchens, and that gives me enough money to be able to make it right now. So why do I mention this? I mention it because you can go to ladymagausa.com, donate, go to PayPal, subscribe, and just donate whatever you want. Even if it's $1 a month, even if it's, $5 a month, it makes a difference. And the more I can collect through my activism, the more time I can donate to going to rallies, to doing podcasts. I do my podcast every Friday. I do another podcast every Tuesday. I post every day on social media, standing up for what matters. I research the issues. I fight for women's sports and children's rights to not be castrated at the Utah legislature. So y'all know, like, I've proven it. Over 2 years, I have dedicated more time than 90% of influencers and conservatives out there who say, they're fighting. I literally have dedicated my life to this, to the point of losing my career as a flight attendant and going a little crazy because I'm so entrenched in politics that it takes a serious mental and emotional toll on me. But I know that I am your voice. And the most inspiring messages I get are from closeted gay conservatives who say, you are our voice. We love this country. We will never give up our guns. But we cannot speak out because we'll be fired. We'll be ostracized. And by the way, when I came out as a conservative drag queen, I got messages from big drag queens, okay? Famous drag queens who messaged me and said, thank you for speaking out. I can't do it because I'm not willing to sacrifice my performances and my career, but thank you. So that's what keeps me going, is the silent majority and the people who message me and talk about this. So anyway, if you want to stay in touch with me, email me, admin@ladymagausa.com, admin@ladymagausa.com. And if you want to support me and you believe in my fight, and you know that Lady Maga USA and Ryan are fighting for America. I'm president of Log Cabin Republicans. We do events. Our last event was a senator who spoke out against critical race theory. We had a packed house, okay? I'm working. I'm organizing things. So if you're not willing to speak out publicly, donate to Lady Maga USA. LadyMagaUSA.com, donate, PayPal, subscribe. And that will help me give more time to my activism, even though I have to make a buck and make ends meet, if that makes sense. So anyway, you guys, I'm so sorry for missing your comments, but at least on Facebook, I believe your comments are going to appear later and I can respond. But I get overwhelmed with my messages on Twitter, email, Facebook, YouTube. It's completely overwhelming, which is another reason I would ask you to donate, because I need help. Lady Maga is too big for me to manage as one person. I need help. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, last but not least, I'm going to Colorado on the 29th with the Log Cabin Republicans of Colorado, like gay conservatives. We're going to have an amazing time. It's a gift and an honor to be able to go and speak with them. And I just 2 days ago recorded my next song, which is called Take a Stand, which is inspired by like old school 1999 to 2002 pop. So it's going to be super fun. I'm going to release that song. And once I release the song and the video, of course, there will be the option to purchase the song. And I think on the websites, you can purchase it for however much you want. So it would be an honor if you like the song, and you will, trust me. If you love NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney, Mandy Moore, Jessica Simpson, like early 2000s pop, you will love this song, because I was inspired by that vibe as we wrote the song, and the music video is going to be straight up 1999, which I wish it was 1999, back when black people and white people just got together and we were not on social media, and you would make photo albums of your experiences, and you loved those albums, and the only reason you loved them is because you loved the people in the pictures and you loved the actual experience. Where now, in today's world, if you don't share it on social media, it's meaningless, which is BS. And I have pulled back. I've really pulled back from sharing my cool experiences on social media. For example, today I was kayaking on Utah Lake. Beautiful mountains, got my kayak, I'm out there. And I wanted to take a picture and share it on social media. And I said, hell no. I'm going to enjoy this moment for me, because my enjoyment matters. So we live in a fake digital social media world. That's why the music video and the song is going to take it back. So anyway, you guys, I love you. And if you agree with what I have said, and you love Lady Maga and Ryan, and you consider me one of the voices that defends you and defends your beliefs, share this video. Literally, share this video. And if you clicked on it from Twitter or YouTube, please share it, because our time is limited. We will not be able to say the things we need to say very soon. So, I love you guys, and Facebook is going to save these comments, so I will read them later. I love you, but first I'm going to get some electrolytes, because I got lost on Utah Lake, and it was like an hour and a half of kayaking, and my fingers are sore because holding onto the paddle is like so exhausting. So Dana, Jody, Sarah, Anita, Gray, Renee, and Gina, I love you guys. Please share this video. And I was just going to apologize. Like, sorry, I'm like so like, snappy today. I'm not going to apologize for being snappy. I need to be snappy. So Catherine, you're the very last person who's watching. Love you. God bless you. Let's say a prayer for Catherine. May God and the Lord bless Catherine with strength and inspiration and courage. Amen. Okay, I love you guys. See you soon.